I hear crying from your basement, the lawn guy called while my daughter was away. The first thing he said wasn't hello. It was, sir, I don't want to scare you, but I hear crying from your basement. The line went quiet after that, too quiet. And in that silence, something old and heavy woke up inside my chest. Because my daughter was supposed to be 300 miles away, I stood in the kitchen holding my phone, staring at the small crack in the wall above the sink, one I'd promised her I'd fix months ago. The house felt suddenly larger, like it had taken a breath and was holding it. I remember thinking how strange it was that a place you've lived in for years can turn unfamiliar in a single sentence. Are you sure? I asked him, trying to keep my voice steady. Yes, sir, the lawn guy said. It sounds like someone upset. I thought maybe you should know. My daughter, Sarah, had left early that morning. A work conference, 2 nights away. She hugged me at the door, smelled like her citrus shampoo, and reminded me, again, about the spare key under the ceramic bird by the porch. She always worried I'd lock myself out, or forget something important. Don't open the basement unless you need to, she'd said casually, slipping on her shoes. The lock's old. I laughed at the time, told her she worried too much. She smiled, but there was something tight behind it. I didn't notice it then. I should have. Sarah and I had lived alone since her mother passed. 10 years of shared routines, quiet dinners, Sunday mornings with burnt toast and bad coffee. She was careful, thoughtful, the kind of person who labeled leftovers and returned shopping carts even when no one was watching. Trust came easily with her. It was the air we breathed. That's why the idea of crying in her basement felt wrong. Like hearing your own name spoken in a stranger's voice. I'm probably imagining it, the lawn guy added, backtracking. Wind maybe, or pipes, but he didn't hang up right away. Neither did I. I'll check when I get home, I said. Okay, sir, he replied. I'll wait outside. The drive back felt longer than usual. Every red light pressed on my nerves. I kept telling myself it was nothing. Old houses make sounds, grief makes you paranoid, and strangers misinterpret things. Still, my hands shook on the steering wheel. When I pulled into the driveway, the lawn guy stood near his truck, arms folded, eyes fixed on the house. He looked relieved when he saw me. That didn't help. Did you hear it again? I asked. He nodded once. Just now. Softer, though. We walked inside together. The air felt stale, like the house had been closed too long. Sunlight cut across the hallway floor, stopping just short of the basement door. I'd walked past that door thousands of times. That day, it looked heavier. Maybe I should go, he said, suddenly unsure. No, I replied too quickly. It's fine. I put my hand on the basement doorknob and hesitated. I thought of Sarah as a child, sitting on those steps with her back against the wall, crying after a nightmare. I thought of how she used to say the basement felt sad. How she avoided it even as an adult. I opened the door. The stairs descended into dimness. Cool air rose up, carrying the faint smell of dust and old paint. I listened. At first, there was nothing. Just the hum of the refrigerator upstairs and the distant sound of traffic. Then, a sound. Low, uneven, not loud enough to be clear, but not vague enough to dismiss. It did sound like crying. My heart started beating in my ears. I took one step down. Then another. The sound stopped. Hello, I called, hating how small my voice sounded. No answer. I went down 3 more steps and flicked on the light. The basement looked the same as always. Storage boxes, old furniture, Sarah's childhood bike leaning against the wall. Nothing out of place. Nothing alive. I don't hear anything now, the lawn guy said from the top of the stairs. Neither did I, but the silence felt deliberate. Like something had just learned how to hide. I'm sorry, he added. I didn't mean to. It's okay, I interrupted. You did the right thing. He left soon after. I locked the door behind him and stood there longer than necessary, listening to the quiet settle back into the walls. I told myself it was over. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every small sound felt amplified, the creak of wood, the tick of the clock, the wind brushing against the house. I checked my phone twice to see if Sarah had texted. She hadn't. That wasn't unusual, but it felt wrong anyway. Around midnight, I went to the kitchen for water. As I passed the basement door, I noticed something I hadn't before. The lock was turned. I was certain I hadn't locked it. I unlocked it slowly, heart pounding, and opened the door just enough to peer down. Darkness. No sound. I shut it again and told myself I was exhausted. That grief plays tricks on the mind. That worry is louder when you're alone. The next morning, Sarah called. Did everything go okay? She asked, cheerful, almost too much so. Fine, I said. Quiet house. There was a pause. A small one. You didn't go into the basement, did you? No, I replied. Why? Another pause. Longer this time. No reason, she said. Just checking. We said goodbye shortly after. When the call ended, I realized my hand was clenched around the phone hard enough to hurt. I went to the basement door again. The lock was turned, once more. And this time, from the other side of it, I heard something faint. Not crying, whispering. That's where I stopped. That's when I understood. Whatever was hidden down there wasn't an accident. And my daughter knew. The whisper stopped the moment my hand touched the door. I stood there, frozen, counting my breaths, waiting for the sound to return. It didn't. The house felt alert now, like it was watching me, measuring what I would do next. I didn't open the door. That choice haunted me for the rest of the day. I went through the motions of normal life, made coffee, washed a mug that was already clean, paced from room to room pretending I wasn't listening. Every few minutes, my eyes drifted back to the basement door. The lock stayed turned. I checked it twice, 3 times. Each time, my stomach tightened. By evening, Sarah texted. Leaving early tomorrow. See you soon. I stared at the message longer than necessary. Something about the timing felt off. If she was coming home early, why hadn't she said why? Sarah was never vague. She explained everything, where she was going, who she'd be with, what time she'd be back. That night, I dreamed of the basement stairs stretching endlessly downward, each step whispering my name. I woke before dawn. The house was quiet again, but not peaceful. There was a tension in the air, like a held breath. I sat at the kitchen table with my hands wrapped around a cooling cup of coffee, watching the light change outside the window. Then I heard it, a soft knock, not on the front door. From below, 3 slow taps, pause, 2 more. My chest tightened. I stood up so fast the chair scraped loudly against the floor. The knocking stopped immediately, like it had been listening for me. Sarah, I called out, already knowing she wasn't there. No answer. I walked to the basement door, every step heavy. The lock was turned again. My hands shook as I unlocked it. This time, I didn't hesitate. The door creaked open. The basement light was already on. That alone told me everything I needed to know. I stepped down slowly, my pulse pounding in my throat. The air felt warmer than usual, charged. The boxes were pushed aside. The old couch had been moved. In the far corner, behind a stack of storage bins, was a small space I had never noticed before. Not because it was hidden. Because I hadn't been looking. A mattress lay on the floor. A lamp, a small table with a glass of water, untouched. And sitting there, wrapped in one of Sarah's old sweaters, was a woman I didn't recognize. She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes, startled, like a child caught somewhere they weren't supposed to be. I'm sorry, she said quickly. I didn't mean to make noise. I tried to stay quiet. My mouth opened, but no words came out. She said you wouldn't come down, the woman continued, voice trembling. She promised. My knees felt weak. I gripped the back of a chair to steady myself. Who are you? I finally asked. The woman swallowed. My name is Lena. I used to know your daughter. Used to. How long have you been here? I asked. She looked away. A few weeks. All those dinners. All those mornings. Sarah laughing across the table, asking if I wanted more tea, reminding me to take my medication. All while someone lived beneath our feet. Why? I asked, the word cracking as it left my mouth. Before she could answer, I heard the front door open upstairs. Footsteps. Sarah's voice, calling my name. I didn't move. Neither did Lena. We both listened as Sarah came closer, stopped short, and went quiet. I knew it, she said softly from the top of the stairs. I turned slowly. She stood there, eyes wide, not with fear, but with something closer to resignation. Like a secret finally caught up with her. You weren't supposed to find out like this, she said. Find out what? I demanded. That you hid someone in my house. That people are crying in my basement while you smile at me over breakfast. Sarah came down a few steps, keeping her distance. She had nowhere else to go. That doesn't answer anything. She's my sister, Sarah said. The word hit harder than anything else that day. No, I said immediately. No, she's not. She is, Sarah replied quietly. Half-sister. My mother had her before she met you. She never told anyone. When she died, I found the letters. I shook my head, trying to make sense of it. Then why hide her? Why lie? Because you would have said no, Sarah said, tears filling her eyes. And I couldn't let her go back to where she was. I just needed time. Time. I laughed bitterly. You let me think I was losing my mind. I was going to tell you, she whispered. After the conference. I swear. Lena stood slowly, clutching the sweater tighter around herself. I told her this was wrong, she said. I didn't want to cause problems. I looked at both of them, my daughter, who I trusted with my life, and a stranger bound to me by blood and secrecy. I raised you to tell the truth, I said, my voice low. Not to decide what I can and can't handle. Sarah broke then. She sank onto the steps, covering her face. I was scared, she sobbed. I didn't want to lose you. The irony of that sat heavy between us. We talked for hours, painful, honest conversations that should have happened weeks earlier. I learned about Lena's life, her losses, the fear that had driven Sarah to make choices alone. I listened. I tried to understand, but something had changed. Trust, once cracked, doesn't shatter loudly. It breaks quietly, in places you don't notice until everything feels unstable. That night, Lena moved into the guest room. Sarah and I sat in the living room long after midnight, not touching, not speaking much. The house felt different now, not haunted, but exposed. As I turned off the lights and headed to bed, Sarah stopped me. I'm sorry, she said again. I really am. I nodded. I know, but knowing didn't make it disappear. Because some betrayals aren't cruel. They're quiet, and they live with you long after the whispers stop.